British Vogue magazine just made a big splash. They put out their first ever list of the best-dressed people, and with one simple choice, they sent a very clear message. At the very top of the list was the Princess of Wales. She looked calm and cool, like she belonged there without even trying. But that wasn't the part that made everyone stop and think. The really surprising thing happened a few moments later. Vogue also put out a second list. This one had 55 famous people who are setting trends right now: actors, designers, singers, and important people in the fashion world. Everyone on this list had a special place. But one person everyone thought would be there was missing: Meghan Markle. She wasn't ranked, she wasn't mentioned, not even a little note about her. When a big magazine like Vogue doesn't say anything, it's not by accident. They do it on purpose. In the world of fashion, being ignored can be a much stronger message than being told you did something wrong. It wasn't like a door slammed shut, it just quietly closed, and that's how people with power show it. Now here's the important part most people didn't get. This wasn't just about fancy clothes. Vogue wasn't looking at how long a dress was, or what kind of shoes someone wore, or the colors they chose. They made that very clear. This list wasn't about what you put on your body, it was about who you are when you wear those clothes. Vogue was looking for people who make things popular without trying too hard, people who don't have to tell everyone they're important because their importance is clear just by being themselves. In this world, good style isn't loud, it's calm and sure of itself. It's being confident without needing to explain why. Vogue doesn't like a lot of noise. It likes people who are calm and in control. Once you get that, the list isn't just fashion news anymore. It's like a map of who has power. Who gets invited to important events, who do people trust, and who doesn't fit in anymore. Then there was Catherine, the Princess of Wales. She wasn't just on the list, she was crowned the queen of it. Vogue didn't just put her at the top. They gave her a special name that means a lot: an eternal influencer. That doesn't mean she's just popular for a little while. It means she's important for a very long time. She was put next to people like Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell, and Victoria Beckham. These are famous people whose importance has lasted and didn't need to be changed or updated. Vogue said good things about Catherine's love for old clothes, how she always chooses British designers, and how she can make a brand super popular just by wearing it once. No big press events, no loud announcements, just calm, steady choices. They even said that she's likely to become even more important, especially as she starts giving out royal warrants. This means that her presence doesn't just make fashion trends, it makes money slowly, calmly, and surely. And that's when it became super clear how different the two women were. One woman became important without even asking for it, and the other wasn't even mentioned. Suddenly, this wasn't just a story about fashion anymore. It was a lesson about how real power works and who still has it. Here's where the story stops being about feelings and starts being about money. Because Catherine being at the top of Vogue's list wasn't just a nice symbol, it was about how much money she can make things happen. What people in the know call the Kate effect isn't just a nice thing to say. It's a real force that can be measured. When she wears something, those clothes sell out in just a few hours. Designers see a huge jump in sales that they can point directly back to her wearing their clothes just once. The money she brings in is thought to be in the billions. That's not just talk, that's how the market actually works. Vogue understands this perfectly. They don't put people at the top because they're liked. They put people at the top because they can make big changes happen. Catherine doesn't try to get fashion companies to notice her. Fashion companies quietly hope that she will notice them, and what makes her even more valuable is what she doesn't do. No messes, no drama, no being seen too much, just being steady, calm, and trustworthy. From Vogue's point of view, that's not just good style, that's being stable. And being stable is super important when you're deciding who will be important for a long time and who will slowly disappear. Now let's go back to that second list. 55 names, each one chosen very carefully. Amal Clooney was praised for always sticking to her own style. Musicians were noticed for how they make music and how they dress. Actors were celebrated for being unique and confident. Even the men had their own spot. Everyone was accounted for. Everyone had a good reason to be on that list, and Meghan still wasn't. This wasn't about forgetting her. Vogue doesn't forget people who are famous. This was about leaving her out, about not seeing a clear place for her anymore. In important groups, lists like this are less about being popular and more about showing who you really are. Who are you right now? What do you stand for? What do you bring that will last? Vogue didn't explain why she wasn't there because they didn't need to. When important groups don't say anything, it's how they talk when the answer is already clear. And the message was simple, even if it was a bit uncomfortable. Whatever Meghan stands for now, Vogue doesn't see it as important in culture anymore. And this is where the quiet rejection became very sharp. People who know what's going on say that Meghan didn't wait to be asked to be in Vogue again. She reached out to them, but what she sent wasn't a suggestion. It was a list of rules. She wanted a full story about her, to be placed in an important part of the magazine, to be able to control what was written, to approve the pictures, the quotes, and the whole story. In other words, she didn't want to work together. She wanted to be in charge. And that's where the problem started. Vogue works with powerful women all the time, but there's one rule they almost never break. The magazine gets to tell the story. Even globally famous people don't get to tell the editors what to do. People in the know said that the way she asked for things made people raise their eyebrows, not because she was aiming high, but because it sounded like she felt she deserved it all. Vogue isn't in the business of making people's image better. They don't try to fix bad reputations. They protect their own reputation. And when they faced someone whose public image had become very mixed, someone who demanded control instead of trusting them, Vogue did what it always does in these situations. They politely, quietly, but firmly said no. And in the fashion world, a polite no is a much louder message than saying no in public. It means that you're no longer allowed in. There was a time when Meghan seemed interesting, new, a little mysterious, but being mysterious is like a delicate thing, and once it's gone, it's hard to get back. In the important fashion and media groups, being seen too much isn't being popular, it's wearing yourself out. The more the public hears the same things, the same excuses, the same carefully planned messages, the less important it all becomes. Vogue likes things that are a bit distant, questions that aren't answered, and letting an image speak for itself. And somewhere along the way, Meghan's story stopped having that. Every time she appeared, it felt planned. Every smile felt practiced. Every moment felt like it was trying to tell people something instead of just being natural. Fashion doesn't like it when you can see how much effort someone put in. It likes it when you never notice the effort. And when something mysterious becomes easy to predict, even the most important platforms start to back away. Leaving the royal family was supposed to open up new chances, freedom, opportunities, a fresh start. Instead, it showed something that wasn't as exciting. It showed how much power she had because of being part of the royal family itself. Outside the palace, she didn't have that protection anymore. Deals with media companies promised a fresh start but didn't always turn out well. Projects that started with everyone excited slowly faded away without staying popular like people thought they would. Behind the scenes, relationships became colder. Invitations became fewer. Support only came with conditions. The truth is hard but simple. The power Meghan used to have wasn't just hers. It came from being close to the king and queen. Without that, every step she took needed more effort but gave her less back. She got freedom, yes, but she also became alone. And in industries that like things to be steady, being alone is risky. This is where the story gets bigger than just fashion and becomes about something deeper. Getting attention is loud. It goes up and down and then disappears. Being favored is quiet. It doesn't tell everyone it's there, but it decides what happens. Important groups don't chase after attention. They protect who they favor. That's why being silent from Vogue matters. That's why the royal family never rushes to say something back. Power that lasts doesn't argue. It waits. Catherine's importance grows because she is connected to old systems that move slowly and carefully. Meghan's problems aren't about if she's talented or ambitious. It's about where she stands. Once you fight against the very groups that made you important, you might get attention, but you won't be favored. And without being favored, doors don't slam shut. They just stop opening. In the end, this isn't about who dressed better. It's about how two different paths led to two very different results. One woman learned to wait, to listen, to let important groups speak for her. She didn't rush to be important. She just became important over time. The other pushed ahead, asking for her own space, asking for control, asking to be heard. And she learned that power doesn't react well to being pushed. Vogue didn't loudly pick a side. It didn't need to. It gave one woman the top spot and quietly skipped over the other. And that choice tells us more than any newspaper headline ever could, because being important doesn't just disappear overnight. It moves, it settles, it chooses where it wants to be, and right now it's clear where it feels most comfortable. This isn't the end, it's just a pause, a time to think again, and the real question isn't who Vogue